All right, I'm going to start now. It's 1:32. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Alexander, and I work in ESRI Canada in the education group. Thank you so much for being part of joining us for this workshop on taking your story maps to the next level. So I'm here with Jean Tong, who will be processing any new accounts for us. So if you don't have an account and require one, please go to k12.esri.ca and sign up for ArcGIS. You'll be going to a form where you can fill this out, and then Jean will receive it and she will process this for you before the hands-on component of the workshop. And we're also here with Susie Saliola. She's going to be moderating the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A the Q&A window to add in your questions. And if you have any general information, please use the chat window. And Susie has added the K-12 website, so you could go there to access the request form. Okay, so today you're going to learn about how you can make your story maps more engaging and interactive. So in this session, you're going to learn some simple but effective features that are in the template for ArcGIS StoryMaps. We're going to begin with the immersive builders. Then we're going to move on to map actions, the timeline and swipe blocks. And then you're going to learn how you can link to sections of a story map. You'll also learn about the following. So story map collections. So if you're a story map pro and have created a ton of story maps, you might want to put them together in a collection to share with others. So you're going to learn how that can be done. And you're going to learn how you can change your story map to a different language in just a matter of a couple of clicks. And then we're going to leave you with some resources that you can use to explore further on things that I will be talking about during the session, and other information. So one thing I wanted to put in here, actually in the chat, Susie's already done it. If you want to follow along, please go to the link in the chat, and it will take you directly to this story map. And also you can use the story map for further future reference as well. Okay, so let's begin with the immersive builders. They provide a variety of ways to tell your story. So when you're creating ArcGIS story maps, you can access them by clicking the plus sign to add these sections to your story. So there are 3 types of builders. There's the slideshow, the sidecar, and the map tour. So I'm going to just play this quick video to see how you can quickly access them. So clicking on that plus sign, you get all these content blocks that you can add, including the immersive. So you can use any combination of these builders in your story maps to jazz up your story map. So they can be used for different purposes, like putting together a section showing findings of a project, or guiding readers through a series of points of interest. So let's discover when you should integrate each one for your story map, starting with the slideshow builder. So the slideshow builder is an immersive one that includes 2 parts. So we have the full media panel here, which is showing a map, and a floating panel that you can add minimal text to. We use arrows here to move forward and back. This builder is a great option to highlight different areas of a map or different data on the same map. So for the media panel, you can select an image, video, or a map. The map can be something that you've created. It could be a map that you have seen in ArcGIS Online that you want to use, created by someone else, or you can quickly create an express map. So this slide shows a video of the boreal forest that you can play for the slide. So this type of builder is great for in-person presentations. You might not have a lot of text, but then you can speak to the content that are in the slides. So here are a couple slideshow examples. The first one is something we put together on inspiration of K-12 users across Canada. So the first slide here shows elementary level use of ArcGIS. So this one is a video.
My name's Tony Fishman, and I'm a grade 3.
The next one is middle school, and this one is a link that was added that takes you to another site where you can explore further. The last slide is a high school or secondary level project that was done in Niagara, in the Niagara region. And this one is also a video. So you can see with the slideshow, there are limited text that you can add to the panel here, but you can show, you can talk about the content or show it through videos. So now let's explore the sidecar builder. So this one has two parts as well. So there's a floating panel in this example, but you can also dock the panel where you can add narrative content. And then there's a media panel where you can add a map, image, video, swipe map, or swipe block, or you can also embed an application. Now, I've tested the application embed. It's a little buggy, so I wouldn't recommend that. This builder allows you to add more content than the slideshow. As you can see, I'm scrolling down and there's a lot more content that I can add. So as I mentioned, so the media that you can add are images. So we have a map here. You can also add audio, videos, timelines. I'm sorry, I'm not talking about the media here. I'm talking about the panel. So the panel includes different media that you can add. So images, audio, videos, timelines, which I will talk about later, and maps to the floating or docked panel. When you're adding content to this panel, all you have to do is add the plus, click on the plus side to access your choices, just like this screenshot here. And I'll talk about the map actions later. So as a user scrolls through a sidecar, they can learn about a specific topic. So think of it as a separate section of your story map. So one example is if you're creating a story map on ecozones in Canada, you can use a sidecar to highlight a specific ecozone by adding media and text. A video can be added to your panel for additional information, like I did here. Keep in mind, you can put that video also in here. So you can play around with your content and see what fits for you. So the next thing are map actions. So with a sidecar, you can also highlight map locations and data in the media panel through map actions. So here's an example. So we have a map of ecozones in Canada. If I click on the button that I created, it zooms into that specific ecozone. So map actions allow you to add additional content or features into your story map. You can also include media. So you can include the following media in this area here. So you can add images, videos, maps. You can also embed content in there, like an application. And you can add a swipe map like I have here. So this one shows the watersheds in Canada on the left side. And then on the right side, it's the landforms or landform regions of Canada. Keep in mind that the maps are interactive, so I can zoom in, I can also zoom out, and I can go back to home to go back to the initial location. And I can click on a map, and if you have pop-ups activated, people can explore those maps as well. So now we're going to check out this example from ESRI, and they created this geography of wine region, and I went directly to this specific sidecar looking at wine regions from coast to coast in the US. So you can see here we have a map, there's an image here, there's text. This is a legend for the map. And as we continue scrolling, it takes us to a different section of the map. As I mentioned, it's interactive, so we can zoom out, we can zoom in, and we can click on that home button to take us back. We can add images, an inset map, so you know the general area in the US that this region is located in. We can add videos in here. So there are so many options with the sidecar that allow you to add additional information. So now I know there's a lot of information here, but this video, it's a short video that I'm going to play, and it's looking at the sidecar and the slideshow. And I think it'll give you some good information on maybe something that you're thinking of using, but you're not sure how it applies to the content that you might be putting together. This will give you a better idea. Oops.
Two of our favorite blocks in ArcGIS StoryMaps are Sidecar and Slideshow. Both blocks can be powerful tools for pulling readers into your story, but each one serves a different purpose. Let's take a look at scenarios where you'd add a sidecar to your story map, compared to scenarios where a slideshow is the more appropriate choice. The key difference between these blocks comes down to the way they display your content. In Sidecar, the media panel stays fixed on one side of your screen with the narrative panel docked on the other side. Narrative content can scroll by indefinitely and can not only include text, but buttons, embeds, and other media too. In Slideshow, the focus is entirely on the media panel, which fills the whole background of the block. A small narrative panel floats atop it in 1 of 9 different positions. This panel is intended for concise bits of text, ensuring it doesn't distract from the map, photo, or video behind it. How does this influence when you should use each block? It all comes down to the reader experience. If you have a map that requires a lot of supporting explanation, you're going to need Sidecar's scrolling narrative panel to fit all that text. You might also want to add in your map legend or a photo that helps put your visualized data into context. If your media is pretty self-explanatory, or maybe you've already covered the data and cartographic choices behind your map at length, you could consider featuring it in a slideshow and letting a reader take everything in on their own. Another great use of Sidecar is pointing readers to other resources about your featured media or topic. Because Sidecar's narrative panel supports buttons and embed cards, you can use these to direct people to download a dataset, sign up to volunteer, learn more about an initiative, you name it. Slideshow, meanwhile, is great for giving your reader a chance to pause and let their brain process all the information they just read. Use it as a media carousel to let them enjoy some relevant eye candy, or as a chance to freely explore some key areas on your map. Finally, consider the necessity of the content you're putting in each immersive block. If you're explaining something that's critical to your core message, you should probably opt for a sidecar. Your readers will have to work a bit harder to skip it. But if what you're explaining gets more into the weeds and might only be of interest to a niche segment of your audience, Slideshow gives you a nice way to include it for those who are curious without putting your larger audience at risk of scroll fatigue. One last scenario where Slideshow really shines is as an in-person presentation. Anyone who's given a presentation knows it's easier to click through your content than to scroll through it. And anyone who's sat in the audience of a scroll-heavy presentation knows it can get a little nauseating. So using Slideshow when giving a talk is a clear win-win. Hopefully you're feeling more confident about when to choose Sidecar or Slideshow for your story maps.
Okay, so I think that video is really helpful if you're trying to figure out which one you want to use. Keep in mind that you have access to this story map, so you can have a look at that again when you're working on your story map. So what about the map tour? So this immersive builder allows you to walk your audience through a list of locations one place at a time. So this could be like a tour of something, you know, a trip that you went on. Perhaps it's a study that you did around the school and you want to highlight some of your findings. And so with the map tour, you have to create, you have to think about how you want to create your tour first. So you have three options. You can start from scratch. So this allows you to manually add locations and media. You can upload a group of photos. So say you went on a trip and you have a group of photos, you'd like to just put them all in, and then you can add your locations after. Or you can use a feature service, which is essentially a data layer that will allow you to add locations to your map. And then you would have to add the text and the media after. So with the map tour, you also have layout options in this builder that include, you know, your tour. So your tour could be either media focused or map focused. So let's explore a couple of them here. So this one is a media-focused map tour on public art installations in Barrie, Ontario. And you can see that media focus means the larger area is an image or a video. So the map is within the panel. And as you scroll down, things change. So the map location changes and the image changes as well. So keep this in mind when you're creating a map tour. What is it that you want to focus on? Is it an image or is it a map? So the next example is actually a map-focused map tour. And this looks at bike trails in Delaware. So this actually makes sense because we want to see, you know, trails and, you know, elevation and area and how green an area is. So using a map for this particular example just makes sense. So as we scroll, the location changes on your map. And as I mentioned to you before, the map is interactive. So you can zoom in, you can zoom out. I don't know, where is Delaware, right? Let's, you know, maybe you're not sure. So this is a great example of a map-focused map tour. So you have a couple of things, or more than a couple of things to consider when you're using a map tour. So now I want to ask a couple of questions. I realize that we are limited in terms of interaction, but if you want to answer the questions, please do so in the Q&A. Or maybe it's something you just consider. So the first question is, you want to create a landform unit for your grade 9 geography class, which includes sections outlining the different landforms in Canada. You want to ensure you have enough space for text to explain each one. Which immersive builder should you use and why? The second question, you've asked your students to use StoryMaps to outline findings of their fieldwork in a presentation. Which immersive builder would you recommend to them for this specific task and why? I'm just going to have a look, see if anybody's responding. Okay, well, you can respond or you can't. You don't have to. It's just things to consider. So now I want to do a demo on the immersive builders. So the first thing is I'm going to just close this here and I'm going to sign in to my account. So first thing, you sign into your account and go to the apps picker, or the waffle we call it, and click on that. You might see StoryMaps down here. Feel free to click on it and drag it up to the top if it's something you want to use more often. So I click on ArcGIS StoryMaps, and I can see in mine, I have a lot that have been created. You may not have any right now, but I'm sure you could fill that up in a matter of time. So the first thing is we want to go to New Story. And we're going to start from scratch, but please feel free when you have time to go and try out the other ones. These ones just take you directly to them, but you're still in the body of the story map. So we'll just start from scratch. And we're going to see here, we're going to be prompted to put a title, some information. We can just start from just adding content. And we can see that we have large selection of content to add if we want. So we're going to go down to the immersive section and we're going to click on slideshow. So the slideshow pops up and we can see it prompts you on information to put in here. So we can put a title and then some text in here. We can also have panel appearance options as well that you can change up. And you can play around with that. And then in the media section, you can add, this is a slideshow, just reminding you, you can add an image or a video, or you can add a map. So I mentioned to you before that the map selection is based on 3 things. You can have a map that you've created. So by default, it's My Maps. I can click on this and select that. And then I can change, the way it looks. I can add also under options, I can add a legend as well, and some other configurable things in here. And then when I'm ready, I can click Place Map, and this will appear on the slide. And if I want to change it, I can just click on the edit and go and make my changes. And then the next thing is I can add a new slide. So this plus button here. And I wanted to show you the other option here. So we can also go to My Organization. So this is everyone that's in your organization that has shared a map that you can access. So for example, if your students have done a big project and they've worked in groups and maybe you have 15 story maps that you want to include, you could include it in a slideshow. And then you can also access Living Atlas maps as well. Another thing you could do is create a new Express map. This allows you to manually add in your own information with your own features. So you can add a point, you can add a route using a line feature. You can also create a polygon, so say like a study area. You could add text and arrows and other features. Actually, it's double arrow or single arrow. You can find your location in here. And then let's see what other options. I guess you can group select as well. And when you're done, you can click done, and then you've created this quick express map. Oh, one other thing is you can add, you can change your base map. So you have a large variety of base maps to select from. So just keep that in mind as well. You're not, you don't have to stick with the default. So that is for adding a map. And then if you want to add a sidecar, we can go to sidecar, and you'll see that you have a few layout options here: floating panel, docked panel. We can select that. And then we can also add many different media types here compared to the slideshow. You can also add a lot of different information as well in the panel compared to, you know, the slideshow only allows you to add text. And if you'd like to change your layout, you can also click on the three dots here and change the layout if you want to change it to floating panel. So it's very configurable, it's easy. And then the next thing is the map tour. So you can go in here and start from scratch, and you have options as well. So we can go to Explorer, we can have our layout to have it as a grid, and then we can add in our, you know, image or video, add a location. I can also change this map if I want to. And as I mentioned before, if you want to change your layout, just go here and select a different layout. Okay, so I want to give you an opportunity to go and do it yourself. So there are, so the information that the demonstration I just showed you, I'm hoping that you can follow along, or you can use the steps below. And I'm going to give you 15 minutes to work on this, starting now. And I hope that you're able to, if you are new to ArcGIS Online, that you're able to get your account set up. And if you haven't, please let us know. One thing I actually missed was there was a poll that was set up to see if we just wanted to know whether you've used immersive builders in your story maps. If you can go to the poll section and just answer that, that would be great, because we would love to see what the results are. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A tab to put your question in there. Thank you. Hi, Erin. Thank you for the question. I'm not quite sure what you're asking. If you could add additional information in the chat, I'm sorry.
Hey, Angela, this is Jean. I just responded to Erin's question there.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I hope you had an opportunity to go through and try out the immersive builders. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to use them in your next story map. So I'm moving on to the map actions. So these are a great way to include additional information to primary content that's in your story. So I'm aware of the time as well, so I'm going to play the video that's very quick to show you how easy it is to just highlight text, click on your map action, zoom to the map. So keep in mind with map actions, you need to have a web map or a web scene in your slide. And with this map link, you can just highlight text and it will go to the specific location that you've set in your map. And then there are map buttons that you can set. And it's the same idea. You're adding additional content to your story map. And this will allow you to just click on the plus sign, add your map button, zoom into the area. So either a web map or a web scene. And then you can name your button, and this button will be activated. Okay, so the next feature is the timeline block. This is a new feature from June, and this allows you to add visualizations in chronological order. And it's really easy, and you can add up to 20 events in a vertical chain. And this video will show you how you can do that. You have layout option as well. You add your dates and your details and your image. And then you can repeat and do the same. Keep in mind that you can move things around after you've added an event. So you can just select it and drag it to the location. You can add your spacers in there. And then you can change your timeline option layouts as well. The next one is the swipe block. This allows you to do a visual comparison of a map or an image. And it's great because it's very easy to set up. So we have a document here that allows you to view how you can set that up. And you just have to select the web maps and the images that you want to use. It's very easy to do. You saw an example of it in the sidecar. So the next thing is links to sections of a story map. So sometimes you discover sections that you want to share with others, or maybe it's something, it could be either your own story map or a story map that you've come across, and you just want to select an area or section. It could be a heading or a subheading. It could be within a sidecar as well. So we'll watch this video. So this is a heading that you can copy, but you can also go to a sidecar heading, as we can see here, and then go to another browser and then add that in to see it. Okay, so a few other things I wanted to show you are So if you have already a collection of story maps and you'd like to put them together, you can do that with this new feature called StoryMap Collections. This allows you to organize your work as well and to highlight it. There are a couple examples here that I wanted to show you. So the first one is the Career Maps series. It's a lesson and resources that we've put together for students to see how they can use GIS in careers. So you can see there are 5 resources. I can click on the first one and you can see that it's a story map. I can click on this to go back, or I can also go through and see this navigation is set up that allows you to see the other story maps as well, or other content. The next one is the GIS K-12, the K-12 presentations that our group puts together. We thought it'd be cool to put, a collection together. And there's one with descriptions. This one is a document. And we can see the navigation is slightly different here with the titles of each of the different resources in this case, or presentations. And we can also go back here and explore them this way. The next one is also a really good resource for you. It's different tutorials for story maps, and they've set it up the same way. But when we click on one, you can see that they've been numbered. So again, we've seen 3 different types of navigation in terms of representing how the navigation works. So this is in numbers. Before we saw titles, and then before that we saw the number out of the total. So we can go through like that, or we can click on the grid to go back and view it as a whole. Okay, so you can also translate your story maps to French or another language by right-clicking on any blank area and clicking on Translate, and then these 3 buttons to choose your other language. So now we can see that this has been translated to French. Now we're going to go back, or reset. Oh, I guess that doesn't work. Back to English. Okay, there are resources for you that are connected to what I covered, and then some more information as well. I would like to tell you that this blog post section is great. These articles, they're up to date. Keep in mind that everything I talked about is not, everything about story maps. So there's so much more to learn. But those features that we covered in this session are a lot of the very awesome ones, the really cool ones that you think would be great to enhance your story maps and make them more engaging for the reader. So please contact us at k12@esri.ca if you have any questions. And we're going to check in now with to see if there's any questions. Oh, okay. So I can see that there was a question, but it was answered. Thank you, Susie, for all your help, and Jean. But thank you very much. And in summary, you've learned how to make your story maps more engaging through the builders and all the different features like map actions, timeline, and white blocks, and also how you can link sections of a story map to share with others. In addition, you learned how you can create story map collections and change your story map to a different language. And you're left with a lot of resources to explore. And we hope that the session has given you the tools to do more with your story maps, and I hope that you will promote them with other teachers at your school. Thank you very much.